Jill on the mic. It's about to get real. Keep it live, that's right. From Pennsylvania to across the globe, it's time for the Steelers All-Star Show.
Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-host Cody Tanner. Cody, how are you on this Victory Monday?
I was waiting for it. I was waiting to see how loud you could be with the Victory Monday. Listen, I am the negative
Nancy.
Nancy group.
Look at him, he hates it. He hates it.
I'm the negative Nancy of this group, and I clarified in our group chat this weekend. I don't think I'm negative Nancy. I think I'm realistic Rebecca, and I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
You hate it when they win.
I don't hate it. I just hate when I feel like it wasn't us winning. I feel like Baltimore had it in their hands, a clear chance to win the game, and they lost it, and they didn't go out and execute. And you could argue, Alex Highsmith did his thing. I get it, but I don't know. I really want to see. I like being able to watch our offense put a team away, and I'm not talking. I'm both aspects. Let's not. First off, before we go that far, James, how are you? James, how are you?
I'm doing a lot better than you. Apparently, I'm able to enjoy this victory, so that's a positive that I'll take from this for sure.
I don't know. We're going to talk about the game. I was getting way, way, way ahead of myself. Let's discuss some things prior to the game. Obviously, Steelers did promote Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Dylan Cook for game day. We downgraded or unpromoted Jill and Nick for this episode. Neither of them could make it with us today, so we hope that they'll get back on the next one. So in case you're not watching and you only hear James and I today, that's because it's just James and I today. So and then inactives for the game: Roman Wilson, a healthy scratch; Will Howard, Kyle Duggar, Calvin Anderson, Broderick Martin Rhodes, Keyshawn Williams, and Derek Harmon, all inactives. You can say what you want about the Roman Wilson thing. I understand. I don't understand. I don't know. Will Howard, obviously, third string quarterback still technically. We were hoping to see him bounce up to number 2. Some of us were, at least. And then Derek Harmon still, unfortunately, with that injury. I would love to get him back to be able to help stop the run a little bit, because another game we got gashed, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, I'm very interested to hear, because when we get the Tomlin press conference on Tuesdays, he always does a recap, but also your first insight is the injuries for the following week. Last week, he immediately ruled Derek Harmon out on Tuesday, so you knew this knee injury was significant enough that he still had no hope of playing versus the Ravens. I'm hoping that that's not the case this week. I'm hoping that we get to see him at least limited in practice this week. But you do wonder, because they don't have to necessarily say the severity of what's going on with this injury, just that it is there. So hopefully we see some of these guys work their way back. I feel like the Roman Wilson and Keyshawn Williams things was kind of a statement by the coaching staff of, hey, this particular room, the wide receiver room, is not getting it done. We need to get some other guys out there to see if we can get something going on offense. To their credit, a team that is being accused of not making any changes on the coaching staff as far as players made some changes that were very controversial by doing so, and triggered the best passing output by this team this season so far, yardage-wise. So definitely a change. And I know that you're going to say, oh, well, those guys that they brought up didn't do anything. You don't necessarily need to make a lot of catches for it to change how a defense plays against you.
One.
One catch by Thielen, and if it wasn't on his back shoulder, he's getting a lot more yards than 4. But he almost had to stop for that throw. Not the best throw by Rodgers on that particular one. On a day where Rodgers was pretty sharp. Man, he was very accurate in this game. We're talking a matter of a couple inches here and there and a couple plays to this really being blown open. There was a pass that he threw over the middle to DK Metcalf between the hash marks where everyone's asking for it, and just bounces off of DK's fingertips. It literally was no more than a couple inches away from being a completed pass that would have been yet another 20-plus yard pass play on the game. But overall, you can't be disappointed in Aaron's performance or in DK's performance in this particular game. They both left everything out on the field in that game, and just two very, very much so standout guys in this game, where both were under a lot of criticism, and both really answered the call in this game.
Yeah, I again want to point something out here. Obviously, he had that game, but I don't think it had. I know that you're going to say, well, it's because other guys were on the field. Very rarely was anybody else on the field. Most of the time, it was Pat Freiermuth, Calvin Austin, Ben Skoranek. Most of the time, no different.
Ooh, boy, that's bad for you because it was 27 snaps for Adam Thielen and 16 for Marquez Valdez-Scantling. So that's incorrect information. Sorry.
Oh, well, then I never saw them because they didn't do anything.
They didn't get thrown too much, but they were on the field a lot, including Thielen starting the game out there.
I'm curious what the percentage of the snaps was for those guys.
Well, it's not a lot of snaps on offense total, so that's probably almost half of the snaps for Thielen.
But there's the route tree for DK Metcalf up on the screen. So 12 targets, 7 receptions. Obviously, you see those deep balls that were completions, but I still don't see DK going over the middle, and I'm curious if that's because that's where they had Valdez-Scantling going, or if that's where they had Thielen going, or what. But in my mind, they just called the game differently because of the guys that were on the field. They could have done the same thing with the other guys. I'm just not going to chalk it up to those guys being on the field. That's why this all of a sudden worked out.
Well, I think there's a lot of things that we can chalk this up to. Number one, guys did well in the scramble drills. This has been an issue all season long.
That's fair.
Where they're just standing around during a scramble drill and Aaron's got no one to throw to. DK and Aaron were on the same page big time in scramble drills in this game. And he wasn't the only one. Calvin did a better job in scramble drills too. Unfortunately, dropped that one on the sideline, which would have been a first down had he been able to catch it and maintain possession before going out of bounds. But he committed the cardinal sin of letting the ball go through his hands and get to his chest. Had he caught it with his hands before it went to his chest, it's definitely a catch because he had those feet in bounds.
Skoronek's catch was on a scramble drill, was it not?
Sure was, and so was the deep one to the left on DK. Also a scramble drill. So these guys just got on the right page this time around. And I feel like a lot of this, availability of DK Metcalf in this game is a result that they had to respect these other guys because they're actually running their correct routes. They're not half-assing their routes and jogging through them. They're where they're supposed to be on the field, which causes separation in between the routes and forces guys to make decisions. And DK just did one heck of a job in this game of getting open, beating guys, stacking his defenders and getting out in front of them, and just doing a fantastic job. And that's the difference between guys being where they're supposed to be on the field and not being where they're supposed to be on the field. So a lot of this is just DK really being on top of his game in this game. That's 100% for sure. But the communication was there. People were doing what they were supposed to as receivers, and people were popping open because of it. I just feel like the execution of the offense was a lot better. In the passing chart that you had up there, there was one over the middle intended pass for DK for sure. That's the one that, had it been completed, it would have been between the hash marks. But it unfortunately was just inches away from being completed and off of his fingertips. DK couldn't have given any better effort on that ball, just a hair off on that one. So
yeah, there's the pass chart for Aaron. I believe this top left one near the hash is that incompletion. So it was very, very close. But yeah, I mean, I do see the ball moving a little bit closer to the middle of the field on this pass chart compared to what it used to be. I still
especially on the left side there.
Especially on the left side. I hate the number of passes still behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, you have 3 on the left side, 2 in the middle, so 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the other side. That's too many passes behind the line of scrimmage for me.
Especially that one to Jalen Warren. Let's be honest, man. Everybody hates a 38-yard touchdown pass from a dump off. That's the worst ever.
So, moving on.
Once in a while, that will work. It should never be a primary part of your offense. But
Which
once in a
what is
while, it
this?
will work.
12. Sorry, 12 of his 23 completions were behind the line of scrimmage. That's a problem in my mind. And that's the struggle I have with being excited or happy about this game. 12 of those 23, so he had 11 completions that were beyond the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you take off the 4 more that were within 5 yards, we're not. It's crazy. It's crazy to me that we're like, thank God DK had the game he did, because he bailed Aaron out of a bad stat game, in my opinion. And I understand Aaron had some good pretty deep balls. I understand.
It was his best game of the season on deep balls. He had 4 completed passes of 20 yards or more down the field.
But we should have been doing this every single week, and we still should stop throwing the ball to and behind the line of scrimmage as much. It's just crazy to me.
I think the difference that you're seeing in this game here, and why there's a little bit of a difference of opinion on whether or not this was a good game for the Steelers passing the ball, is because when you're able to complete these deep balls, it does open up those short dump offs more, because guys can't just crowd the line of scrimmage. So the dump offs are not supposed to be a primary option on any pass play. We've talked about this endless times, but it can be effective if they have to respect your deep ball. So since the deep ball was working in this game, that's why you ended up with a dump off to Jaylen Warren that goes for 38 yards that he catches, maybe a couple yards past the line of scrimmage or at the line of scrimmage. It's successful because of the fact that the safeties have no choice but to be deep. Because we talked about this pregame, Kyle Hamilton, as good of a safety as he is, he's a slow one. He knows he can't beat somebody in a foot speed race. Same with Marlon Humphrey. At his age, he was never a fast guy to begin with. He got absolutely dusted by DK on that first pass of the game. He has no prayer of running with DK on a vertical route. And guess who also can't run with him? Alohi Gilman, a safety that tried to get there at the end, and just if it wasn't for the sideline, he wasn't going to make the play on that either. So it's a situation where speed-wise, if you can hit these guys on these deep passes, man, that brings guys back and off of the line of scrimmage. Unfortunately, it didn't lead to more success in the run game. The run game was pretty awful for Pittsburgh in this game, but the pass game was highly effective due to the fact that you were able to hit some of these deep balls.
Yeah, I hope that this is a stepping stone. I hope that we get more play calling over the middle and things like that. DK obviously had a much better game, and we hit on those deep balls to DK. I'm just hoping to see less of. I understand the dump offs, and I understand that you get people downfield and things like that. Was it the third? There was one bad play call. I don't remember now.
The 3rd and 19 that they dumped.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't like it either. The only problem is they just dropped 8 guys deep. So your choice there is either to throw it into 8 defensive backs, basically, or dump it off and hope somebody can get there. And they're not going to get there because of how many guys are deep. But if you throw it into that coverage, it's probably going to get picked off.
Yeah.
And that's a direct result of not doing better on 1st and 2nd down. That was the series where Aaron threw the ball, it got tipped up in the air, and he ended up catching his own pass. Now you're at 3rd and 19 because of losing 9 yards on that play. So if you don't get into that extremely long down and distance situation, you don't end up in a spot where they're dropping 8 guys into coverage and almost all of them are all the way back there 20 yards deep.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good call on that. And let's address the monkey in the room or the elephant in the room, whatever, before we go too far. The pass to Isaiah Likely in the end zone was an incomplete pass. If you believe it wasn't, you don't understand the rules. Point blank, period. The one argument I heard was that he extended the ball and that's a football move. No, he caught the ball extended and stayed extended.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you catch it to your body and then do this. And we saw, I actually sent a message in our group chat that showed a prime example of when touchdown counted for Pittsburgh in a very, very similar situation. And it was because we got the 3rd foot down.
Yeah.
Had he gotten that 3rd foot down, done. Touchdown. I'm not arguing it. But if Ravens fans, if you want to know how you prevent that from happening, maybe don't drop the ball. That's it. Point blank period.
Yep.
Then it's not a discussion.
The definition of it is 2 steps and either a third step or a football move. You have to do one or the other. The ball came out before the third step came down. There really was no football move to be made because he was already in the end zone. A football move would be like juking or like you said, extending, but he already had the ball all the way out, so there was no extending any further, as you mentioned. Good point by you on that. So, yeah, it's a simple by the exact letter of the law. Man, it was close. He dang near had that third foot down, but Joey Porter Jr. with an incredible job of sticking to it, playing through the whistle, and fighting to the very last second to get that ball poked out. So just an incredible job by Joey of not giving up on the play and fighting till the very last second. And literally like maybe a millisecond, he gets that ball out just in time.
Yeah. This is a rule summary if you're watching on YouTube. A player who makes a catch may advance a ball. A forward pass is complete by the offense or intercepted by the defense in a field of play at the sideline or in the end zone. If a player who is inbounds, A, secures control of the ball in his hands or arms prior to the ball touching the ground, and B, touches the ground inbounds with both feet or with any part of his body other than his hands, and C, after A and B have been fulfilled, clearly performs any act common to the game, extend the ball forward, take an additional step, tuck the ball away, turn up field, or avoid or ward off an opponent. Or he maintains control of the ball long enough to do so. That's more like going to the ground, stuff like that. He did not get any of those common act of the game moves. So that was the reason.
It's a different thing if you're on the sideline, right? Then you just got to get 2 feet down inbounds and maintain
possession through the whatever. Yeah,
and maintain possession until you hit the ground kind of thing. So, yeah, it's like I can see how people would be confused by the rule there, but it's very black and white, as Cody just showed us. So there really is no room for arguing on this. You can argue all that you want that it was a catch, but you're wrong if you argue that. Sorry.
Yeah. Yep. Point blank period. With that being said, James, I got to watch the game at one of our favorite spots, and I want to talk about it. Let's talk about the Edinburgh Hotel Bar.
Let's do exactly that, Cody. So supporters of Steelers by the Lake podcast include the Edinburgh Hotel Bar, serving a variety of lunch and dinner items every day from their location at 100 Meadville Street in downtown Edinburgh. Information is available at 814-734-5103 or online at edinburghhotelbar.com. The Edinburgh Hotel Bar, where you had me at hotel.
Was a good time there. Got to catch up with a buddy for a short time. Buddy by the name of Dylan Sonny. Dylan Sonny was able to come after his hockey game. So that was a good time. Also bought my dinner. So shout out to Dylan. Appreciate you, bud. He congratulated me on my promotion with work and my move that's coming up. So that'll be exciting. You're going to see my background change again for those of us that have been here for a while. So it'll be a good time. But going back to this game, James, I think the one thing that I think everyone should be upset about to some extent is the run game.
Yeah, just not effective enough, right? Let's be black and white and perfectly clear with this. When we're talking about Jalen Warren, 8 carries for 13 yards, and Kenny Gainwell 4 for 15, nowhere near good enough. When we're looking at this game and saying that probably the best run of the game, the 2 best runs of the game was a toss to the left for 6 yards and a touchdown for Kenny Gainwell, and the second best one being a scramble by Aaron Rodgers for a touchdown for 1 yard. For 1 yard on a play action fake where just basically nobody covered the bootleg, which I understand because Aaron is no longer as fleet of foot as he once was. But still good enough, man. Still good enough. His first rushing touchdown in 3 years. So good for him. And he is now the holder of the oldest Pittsburgh Steeler to have a rushing touchdown in team history.
He's probably pretty close to the oldest NFL player to have a rushing touchdown, honestly.
Yeah.
It's probably,
I don't know.
probably not far off.
I mean, did Tom get any when he was still playing at 45?
It's a great question. He might have.
Yeah, that's the person I would look at to see if anyone beat him. And there was probably some guys way back in like the 50s and 60s where it was a little more common for those guys to play into their 40s. Maybe some of those guys might have been able to have done it. It's really neat to see some of those photos from back then where you got guys that are like completely bald, not mostly bald like me, completely bald, still playing ball, looking like they were in their 50s.
Jeez, oh Pete.
You trying to look it up right now?
I am.
Brady's the one I would check, man. It's if he got any of the last couple of years he was playing, he'd be probably the most likely. Just because not too many guys played this late into their career, right? He's 42 now. He just had a 42nd birthday the day that they signed Adam Thielen to the roster. So
the oldest player in NFL history to score a rushing touchdown is legendary kicker / quarterback George Blanda.
George Blanda, there you go. How old was he when he did it?
Nearly 48 years old in 1975.
That's exactly what I was talking about, man. Those guys played till almost 50 back then. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Nowhere near as many teams in the league back then. It was a shorter season too. I want to say it was only like 14 games or 12 games back then in the season.
So it looks like if my numbers are correct, it looks like it's George Blanda, Tom Brady at 45, and then Aaron at 42. If I'm reading this correctly.
So it wasn't too far off with Tom Brady and then maybe somebody from back in the day.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm right there with you. The running game was trash. The two best runs were touchdowns, sure, which is nice, but nothing to write home about, nothing to get excited about. And especially in a game where you knew the other team, like the defense let up 217 yards rushing again, like over 200 yards rushing. You hate to see that. And I know, James, obviously we can talk about, that would be closer to 160 if we didn't let up that one big 55-yard run on 3rd and 1. And I get that, but it's still the fact that we let that happen on a 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
Like a clear running down, and we let that happen. And it's just very frustrating, very upsetting.
And while we're on that topic, shout out to James Pierre. That was one heck of a hustle play by him. Does Pittsburgh still give up a touchdown on the drive? Yes, unfortunately. But Pierre hauls him down, man. He tracks him down, tackles him. And unfortunately for that player, Keaton Mitchell, he gets injured on the play and then was unable to return to the game. But that's all due to the hustle from James Pierre. And we're going to get to James Pierre, but an incredible game from him on many aspects. And that's just one of them on that play, just showing the heart, the hustle, and having the speed to do it. He came from the complete opposite side. He was on the opposite numbers of the field, covering the furthest out wide receiver, the furthest away from the play, and had the hustle and speed to get there. So you got to give him credit. And honestly, the Steelers' defense against the run in this game, 94 yards on 25 carries for Derrick Henry. You didn't do too bad to hold him under 100 on 25 carries, honestly. 3.8 yards to carry for Derrick Henry. You actually did a decent job if that's all he got on you. So, unfortunately, everybody else kind of gouged you pretty heavily in this game. But Henry, you held him to a low average total.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that's beneficial. I still hate to see that number be so high, but again, they ran 40 times in this game compared to our 17 times. So there's that. But they averaged 5.4 yards a carry. We averaged 2. So there's your big difference there.
Not good enough.
No. Wide receivers, we talked about a little bit. Obviously, DK 7 catches for 148. Probably one of the best games of his career, honestly.
Definitely as best as the Steelers so far, right?
Hands down. Jaylen Warren out of the backfield had 3 catches for 49, obviously 38 coming on that one touchdown. Calvin Austin, 1 catch for 31 yards. I love to see that, throwing him the ball downfield. Kenneth Gainwell, 6 for 27. Ben Skoranek, 1 for 13. Darnell, 1 for 12 before he unfortunately went out with a concussion. We'll get to that later. Pat Freiermuth, 2 for 9. I really want to see Pat get more involved, and it's frustrating because he had 1 incomplete pass thrown to him this game, and I feel like Pat's going to get blamed for it when he was just doing. I don't think there was anything wrong with him. I understand Aaron threw to a spot in between the defenders, but if the route was for your guy to sit down there, like, I don't know, it just felt like Aaron forced that inside, and it could have been a completed pass. And then Adam Thielen, obviously the one catch for 4 yards, nothing crazy there. And then also, Aaron caught a pass. He caught his own pass for -9 yards. We'll give it to him. It counts, and it was better than the alternative. Although it's his fault, it almost got intercepted because he tipped it up. But whatever.
Yeah, and it's a mixed bag on that play, right? Because he throws it gets tipped up, and it comes back to him, and he could have tried to bat it down. Instead, he tips it to himself. He showed really good toughness on the play. I'll give him that. He had guys basically punching him in the face as he's coming to the ground with the ball. And had he not maintained possession with his knees to the ground, it's a turnover on that play. Yeah. Not everybody would have the toughness to fight for that ball with a bunch of defensive linemen and linebacker all around him, hitting him as it's going down. But give him credit, man, with a broken wrist and a cast on one arm, he was able to come up with the ball for just long enough to not allow that to be a turnover. Now, they ended up punting on that down anyway, but they would have had a lot better field position had he not fought for that ball.
Yeah. Even with those -9, the team average per completion was 12.3 yards, which is fantastic. That's really giving your team a chance to get first downs pretty much every play. I did like seeing us throw the ball more downfield, but again, I guess my frustration comes from the point where I don't think it was because of the players on the field. It didn't feel like anything was different other than Aaron choosing to throw the ball. And don't get me wrong, they gave him a good amount of time in the pocket too. Let's give
pass protection was incredible in this
line.
Yeah.
So
incredible pass protection in this game.
And
I don't know if it's they blocked that well or the Ravens just don't have.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Did the Ravens just play that poorly on their defensive front that we had all day to throw?
They traded away their best pass rusher at the trade deadline. So that wasn't the smartest move in the world if you're trying to get after the quarterback.
No, absolutely not. So obviously I thought the offensive line looked good. I think the best game out of I can't think of his name right now.
What position? Left guard,
right guard.
Tackle. Right guard is Mason McCormick.
I thought that was one of his best blocking games that I've seen so far.
Very solid.
But I don't know why I couldn't remember his name. In both the run game and the pass game, I saw him do, a lot of good blocking, a lot of good picking up some stunts and some twists and things. But we also had, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of, I guess the mistakes came from one guy, and most of it was on Andrus Peat.
Yeah.
Who also then went out with a concussion. I don't think he returned.
He did not.
So, but I didn't notice a drastic drop off after he left, which is also very exciting for the depth of that offensive line.
Yeah, Dylan Cook held his own in this game, right? Yeah, being called up from the practice squad, just elevated for this one game. You kind of hoped that he didn't get called on, but when he did, he performed well enough, which is all you can ask for from a practice squad level offensive lineman. Andrus Peat, unfortunately, in this game had more penalties against him in this game than Broderick Jones did all season long. So that's more of a shout out to Broderick for playing very clean football so far in the season than it is, because it's not like Pete had like 8 penalties against him, but I do believe he had at least 2 or 3 in this game. So shout out to Broderick for playing such clean football so far into the season. Hopefully he's able to come back if Pittsburgh's able to make something of this and get into the playoffs here, which is a lot better odds now after beating the Ravens. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Pittsburgh's in control of their destiny right now. If they win out, they're in the playoffs. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And that's kind of where I like it to be, because then there's no one to blame but ourselves. And so I'm very interested to see how this plays out. On the defensive side of the ball, I thought the front defensive line guys still lacked a lot of pressure when it came to the quarterback, getting after the quarterback. The run defense obviously struggled, but they were making moves. It's just they couldn't get people to the ground.
Yeah. I think there was a lot of short, successful runs by the Ravens. So not a ton. Like, obviously they had their chunk plays. They had the 55-yard run by Mitchell. They had the 19-yard run by Derrick Henry. But outside of that, they kept it to a minimum as far as long runs. So they had a lot of those like 3 to 6 yard successful runs. And they were at least able to get them to the ground and keep it from getting to that 10 to 15-yard level. So it needs to take it to the next step. We need to get more stops at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. There's a lot that needs fixed still. It was more of an up and down game to me from Keanu Benton. He at least didn't get pushed around as badly as the first game. He did show some stoutness at times in this game, as to where there was absolutely none the week before. He got absolutely mauled in the run game. This time I felt like Y.A. Black was not as good in the run defense. There were a number of times where I saw him getting pushed 5 to 8 yards downfield and just kind of getting really beat up in his one-on-ones and even double teams. So we need to see Y.A. Black do a little bit better job of being more stout at the line of scrimmage. As to where this game I felt like Y.A. did a better job getting after the quarterback. There was a few times he got under the pads of an offensive lineman and just drove him all the way right back to the quarterback and made things very uncomfortable for Lamar, unable to get off and get the sack and get him to the ground. But at least he made him uncomfortable and made him move off of his spot. And that's a lot of it. In this game, you didn't let Lamar sit back there and pick you apart. Were there some successful pass plays? Absolutely there were. We had a tough time with corralling Zay Flowers. It's called what it is, man. That man had a good game against us. But outside of that, nobody else really did.
Nope. Nobody else really did. And they got after Lamar.
Yeah.
2 sacks on the game in general. Obviously, that we're talking the defensive front. But without those guys manning up and taking those double teams or whatever it was, we don't get those 2 sacks. The sacks came from Highsmith at the end of the game and then Eccles in the middle. But if those guys aren't beating their blockers and forcing them to get double teams, Eccles doesn't get through there if that doesn't happen.
Eccles got a one-on-one with Falele, and that's how he got his sack.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He beat a 370-pound guard.
Absolutely crazy. But yeah, I thought there's still so much more to get excited about, or not even get excited about. There's so much more that I want to get excited about with that defensive front that I haven't seen yet. I want to see Y.A. Black get a little bit more, get a sack or two the remainder of the year at least. I'd love to see that. Obviously want to get Derek Harmon back. Keanu Benton, I feel, was somewhat quiet. He had the pass knocked down, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Hayward, 5
7
tackles
again.
Yeah.
5. Yeah, I'm sorry.
But it's like, what the heck? I'm not saying that's bad, excuse me, but I feel like I'm used to seeing him up in the low 10s, like 10, 11, 12 every game. Am I wrong for thinking that?
Yeah, he doesn't ever get that many tackles in a game. He's had a lot of tackles lately, but defensive linemen, it is very, very rare to get double-digit tackles in a single game.
Maybe I'm thinking of
yeah, you're probably thinking Peyton Wilson, Patrick Queen, those guys. They get the double digits on a regular.
Yeah.
But it's tough for a defensive lineman to do it because you just don't get run at that often. They usually spread it out throughout the line.
Interior linebackers, I thought Cole Holcomb came in for the injured Malik Harrison and played pretty well. Obviously, he played in some packages as well on his own. But he obviously had an extended period of time playing with Patrick Queen going down with an injury and Robinson going down, or Harrison, excuse me, Malik Harrison going down with an injury. And I hated the Harrison injury. It reminded me so much of the Ryan Shazier one.
Yeah,
same number, same head thing. Oh,
yeah. The way he went down completely limp, I was like, oh God, no.
Yeah. I was very nervous we were going to relive that again. And then I saw it. I could tell it was to the side a little bit, but still did not look very good. So hopefully he can have a full recovery. He's obviously one of 3 guys that are out with, or that went out with concussions in this game.
Yeah, and for full clarity, he was able to get up and walk off on his own.
Yeah.
So he dinged himself. He came and hit Henry with everything he had and unfortunately knocked himself out when he did it.
Patrick Queen had a fairly decent game. A couple big hits for him too in this game.
he
was
unloaded with everything. And really shout out to Patrick Queen for playing through an injury. I mean, he got injured bad enough that it looked like he wasn't going to come back in the game. He was very clearly in a ton of pain, got himself taped up, wrapped up, whatever he needed to do, and came back out on that field. And even got on social media afterwards saying, "Where are my haters at now? I did that with one leg." So good on him for really showing a lot of heart and a lot of guts in this game, and even some real tight pass coverage late in the game to force an incomplete pass where, hey, that's not an easy play, especially if you're injured as badly as he was in this game. So hopefully he's able to go next week because we're going to need him as Miami's coming off of another very good rushing performance themselves. They just ran over 200 yards versus the Jets in a cold weather area. So we're going to need to sack up. We're going to need to play even better run defense than this. Not that this was good run defense, but I feel like it was a step in the right direction versus the previous week.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm with you on that. I'm hopeful to see. I'm hopeful to see a lot of things continue to improve, offensive and defensive side of the ball.
And I feel like if you get Kyle Duggar back, that helps out with the run defense too. Chuck Clark had a pretty minimal impact in this game. I thought he had a couple of decent plays as far as his coverage, being pretty sticky in coverage. Also, sometimes not in the right place. But very minimal impact when you look at the stat line from Chuck Clark in this game. He only had 2 tackles. That's not what we're used to with Kyle Duggar. Kyle Duggar typically has a lot larger impact in a game than that. So you do feel like if he's able to come back from that hand injury that held him out this week, that Kyle's probably going to have a bigger impact in the game than what Chuck did.
Yeah. And he has to. That's probably, it's fairly easy to do that. I think Terrell Edmonds could do that. And that speaks to my how I feel about that situation.
Terrell was decent against the run. You have to at least give him that.
Okay. Yeah, a little bit. We'll talk. Yeah. Outside linebackers, I thought TJ had, again, a quiet day, tackle for loss, which was nice. But
I loved what he did against the run, though. He was really good running down the line of scrimmage and pursuing Derrick Henry because they ran away from TJ in this game a lot. And there was a bunch of times where TJ tracked Derrick down and jumped on his back before he could get going. It was a game that TJ was very clearly committed to stopping Derrick Henry, not so much worried about Lamar Jackson. A lot of times when Pittsburgh plays Baltimore, they just kind of put TJ in charge of the mesh charge, where it's his job to hit the quarterback on every play, no matter whether it's him that has the ball or whether it's handed off. Not the case in this game. He pursued Derrick Henry, and it showed. So as much as he was unable to get to the quarterback and made a huge difference there, I thought he had a big presence against the run in this game.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. I guess I'm just still waiting for him to be the explosive turnover machine he was in the past. And I know that part of it's because people are chipping him and double teaming him and stuff. And it's not talked about enough that the amount that he's getting chipped in this year's season is just insane. It's absolutely insane. But Alex Highsmith
it's almost every play.
Oh, very close. And if it's not, he's getting held. He was held on the Lamar Jackson scramble touchdown, which honestly you can chalk that one 100% up to Patrick Queen. Unfortunately, Patrick Queen was playing a QB spy on that play and chose to take a shot in the middle and left a wide open gap for him to run. And that's exactly why TJ went as far wide as he did, which was because you knew you had a QB contain or a QB spy behind you, so he shouldn't be able to get through that gap. And unfortunately, those combination of things happening really messed that play up. But also, I mean, bravo, and we'll get to it now a little bit. Obviously, Alex Highsmith with that massive sack to end the game. There's your Lamar Woodley you've been talking about.
Yeah, what a stud, man. Big game from Alex, man. Stout against the run. And when the time came, we've been talking about this. I went on kind of a rant last week where TJ's not able to make those plays when the game's on the line because he's getting double teamed, and someone needs to win their one-on-one matchup. Who came to the plate with 9 seconds left on the clock? There it is, wearing that 56 just like Lamar Woodley used to. Alex Highsmith making the play to save the game at the end there, getting that sack, tracking Lamar down, and getting him to the ground. Because a lot of guys got the Lamar in this game and just couldn't get him to the ground.
Yep,
He
TJ
got
included.
him to the ground, man. And that makes all the difference in the world. And you get to walk off at that point. You don't have the stress of one more pass play going to the end zone and can you break it up or not. Game over right there. So one heck of a job by Alex Highsmith.
Yeah. But also a shout out on that rushing touchdown play for Lamar. He had to rush because the defense had the receivers locked down.
Yeah.
The secondary did a phenomenal job. I felt like most of the game, obviously we allowed Zay Flowers to go off a little bit with 124 yards, and you hate to see that. But what a game from both James Pierre and Brandon Echols and Joey Porter. I mean,
yeah, all three of them really nice coverage games. I mean, Joey got nailed for a couple of penalties, but I thought that a lot of those were kind of ticky-tack and really unnecessary to call. But in general, those three had some real nice games in this game as far as coverage and even their hustle plays. You know, Eccles getting a sack and Pierre tracking down Keaton Mitchell to keep him out of the end zone, and JPJ breaking up that ball in the end zone. You know, like just
and his and James Pierre's interception.
What
on his cousin.
I love that for James Pierre. That's going to make Christmas so much fun for him.
It is. It really is. I genuinely think this is the best game we've seen from a secondary since Polamalu, Ike Taylor, Deshae Townsend age. And that's been a minute to say the least.
And then Asante Samuel didn't even have to play, right?
Yeah.
They didn't get to a 4-wide set, so you didn't have to put Asante Samuel out there. He dressed. I don't really remember him playing much. So
I don't remember seeing him once. So
yeah. Saw some peppers in this game as like a big nickel, like a third safety kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, not really not much of a role for Samuel in this game, but we'll see. We might still have to do that as we have the Dolphins coming up, the Lions coming up. They're a little bit more pass happy teams.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say that we talked about in this game, and one of us mentioned it. Oh, you talked about the JPJ flags and stuff like that. I mentioned one in our group chat, and you said you agreed. Like the illegal contact or whatever it was, it's tough against DeAndre Hopkins. I'm pretty sure it was. The defensive player has a right to the position on the field. If the offensive player just wants to continue to run into me, at what point is that offensive pass interference or just a no call? I didn't like that call. I thought that was the most ticky-tacky one of them all. Kind of frustrated that was even called, and I'm curious what the NFL officiating crew would want him to do in that situation. Like, do I allow myself to get run over?
Yeah. Or do you just get out of the way? Like, that doesn't seem like that's what a defender is supposed to do.
No.
It's not like he was up in him and like chucking him and keeping him from running forward. He was just holding his ground, and DeAndre chose to try to run through him. So, yeah, I didn't care for it either, and I know that technically the contact down the field, but he was not initiating the contact. The wide receiver was.
Yeah. Yep. Do you want to talk safeties now? Obviously, you talked. I mean, Jalen Ramsey, I thought had a good game.
Yeah. I think Jalen was fine in this game. I didn't really think that. You'll have to let me know if you remember something right now. I don't remember anything sticking out majorly in a positive or negative manner in this game.
Mm-mm.
And I kind of felt like the same for Chuck Clark a few times. Chuck had some real nice tight coverage against the tight ends, which you really needed him to do in this game. Did they still get their touchdowns in this game? Sure. But in the end, when you look as far as the production from the tight end room for them, it just is not what they're used to, right? I mean, Isaiah Likely 4 catches for 25 yards, but you're kind of used to a lot more than that out of him. And Mark Andrews only 1 catch for 9 yards. That's pretty impressive for Pittsburgh, a team that has been toasted by tight ends all year long. Really,
you're notoriously bad for that.
Yeah, and this is one of the better tight end rooms in all of professional football, if you ask me. It's a very deadly 1-2 punch, and they really minimize the impact of these two guys in this game.
Yeah. Second to maybe only our own, honestly. I think ours is probably one of obviously the deep one as well. And we don't even use the guy that was brought in to kind of be the number one. So that's kind of crazy. But no, I thought the secondary, again, overall played very well, safeties and corners. James Pierre obviously had that one interception for 9 yards. And then you look at special teams. Kenneth Gainwell had 3 kick returns for 69 yards. Jalen Warren, 1 for 19. Calvin Austin, 2 punt returns for 12 yards. Both times just getting out of bounds. I don't blame him.
Yeah, it's fine.
There's not great blocking on that. And I even bet you Smith,
Danny Smith.
I guarantee you he's telling Calvin, hey, don't go try to make big plays right now. Let's just make sure we don't lose the ball.
Yeah, don't take a big hit. It's not worth it. We just need possession. Yeah.
Yep. Boswell 2 for 2 on field goals, technically 3 for 3.
Yeah, true.
I mean, technically, and then 3 for 3 on extra points as well. And then Corliss Waitman, decent game punting, I thought. 4 punts, 197 yards, one of them inside the 20. I thought
way better than the last 2 games. He was struggling the last 2 games. Drastically better performance. So I agree 100%. Let's shout out some of these guys that don't get the credit on special teams, huh? Great game for Ben Skoranek in coverage in this game. Yep. Carson Bruner had 3 tackles on kick and punt coverage. Great job by him. And huge shout out, in my opinion, to DK Metcalf. The very last punt of the game, you're down a gunner because of Eccles being injured at the time. DK comes out there and just basically is in a fist fight the whole way down the field. He's got 2 jammers on him, doesn't allow them to slow him down. Honestly, once he's not a good wide receiver anymore, he would probably be the best gunner in the league because he's so big, so fast, and so strong. I could see him playing an extra 5 years after he's done as a wide receiver as a gunner, because who in the world is going to slow him down?
But my question there is, if you can't slow him down, why is he stopping playing receiver?
Fair.
I feel like at some point, Mother Nature's or Father Time's going to get the most.
Yeah, if it gets to a point where he's just not effective as a wide receiver anymore, oh man, how fun was that to see the highlights of him playing as a gunner on that play? Because the second a guy thinks he's got him, he's throwing him aside, and here comes the other one. Now he's throwing that guy aside and just continuing downfield and just getting into that mode where you're not going to stop me.
Nope.
I lifted all these weights so that you can't stop me, and you're not going to stop me. And I love that mentality, man. I love that so much.
And he eats all those Skittles for it, so he has a sugar rush.
That's it, man.
That is.
So many wide receivers in the league can bench 375, but he's on that list.
Crazy. Let's talk injuries for a second.
Yeah, lots of them and lots of concussions, right? And that's kind of scary. The only good thing for Pittsburgh is that we've got 8 days in between these games instead of the normal 7. A lot of players have been clearing concussion protocol for Pittsburgh lately and only not even missing a game, just missing the remainder of the game that they sustained the injury in. But you've got Malik Harrison on one that looked pretty scary. So he was out cold for a second there. Darnell Washington, his head hitting the ground, kind of getting spiked into the ground when he got that 12-yard catch. So he's one I would kind of expect to be able to clear, but he looked really woozy when he got up. Andres Pete, I didn't see the contact that caused his concussion, so I'm kind of unclear as to whether or not this was contact from another player or him hitting the ground on a play. But all 3 of them came out on the play that it happened and never returned into the game. So hopefully they're all able to clear. We do have a Monday night game for our next game, so it's 1 extra day to clear concussion protocol. Cross your fingers. All 3 of these guys are important to the team.
Yeah, nope, I agree.
And then the final one, DK Metcalf, right?
Yep.
We didn't even hear about this after the game because it didn't happen until they got on the plane. Apparently, they get on the team plane to fly back, and DK starts experiencing a bunch of abdominal pain. They get him off the plane, rush him to the hospital. He gets checked out, got cleared. He's already back in Pittsburgh, from what I understand. Just got a later flight, was unable to fly back with the team. But he cleared as far as that. But it does make you a little bit worried of what in the world caused such extreme abdominal pain for him to have to get rushed to the hospital like that.
Yeah. Yeah, very concerning for that, but happy he's getting checked out.
Yeah.
We will be checking in on that some more. Real quick, Patrick Queen was also named the Steelers Digest Player of the Week. I'm sure that's more of he didn't have a phenomenal game, but I'm sure that's a nod for, hey, it was your old team kind of thing. And that's fine. Game balls, James.
Yeah.
Nick Pretzel shared his with us. Nick is going to give his game ball to DK, and rightfully so, having his best game as a Steeler and the special gunner showing out that he did as well. So awesome game for DK. Did he say anything when he said that? I didn't see that.
I believe there was some sort of message. Let me pull that real quick here.
Yeah, game ball goes to DK. We've been calling for him to be that number one guy, and he finally was. The game, 7 targets, 148 yards, and an average of 21.1. Have yourself a game. Also, Nick wanted us to give a shout out to congratulate Aaron, DK, and Ramsey, the rookies, and any other guys who are new to the team on officially becoming Steelers for him, because we all know we aren't really Steelers until you beat the Ratbirds. So congratulations to them.
That's a long list, right? There's a lot of new guys on the team this year. So
Yep.
Even Aaron Rodgers, officially a Pittsburgh Steeler now.
Yeah. Adam Thielen, game 1. Now you're a Steeler, I guess. Johnny Smith with
Chuck
no
Clark.
catches. Yeah. Jeez.
Valdez Scantling. Let's go down the list. There's a lot of them, right?
There's a ton. Do you want to give your game ball out?
I'll tell you, I'm real torn this week, Cody. And I hope that you take the one that I don't take in this game, but I'm a little bit concerned you won't. I'm going to go with James Pierre in this game. I felt like the heart, the effort, that one-handed interception on the sideline, tracking down Keaton Mitchell and preventing a touchdown on that particular play. Did they still score afterwards? Yes. But just one heck of a performance by James Pierre. He's really, really showing the value that he has on this team. For him to go from being a guy that was just a gunner on the team, right? Last year, he didn't make the team. He was on another team. He comes back this year, makes the team again as just a gunner, last on the roster really as far as a corner, works his way up through getting a little bit of spot duty here and there with all the injuries to Darius Slay and some of the other guys in the room getting dinged up. He gets a play here and there. He gets a pass breakup. He starts getting some more play. It just gets better as the season goes on. James Pierre is just having one heck of a season and really, really a nice performance in this game, in my opinion. I'm giving a game ball to James Pierre and praying that, I know he's a 29-year-old cornerback. You need to lock him up for a two-year extension, maybe a 3-year extension after this year. The dude's playing too well to let him go in free agency. And yes, he is a free agent at the end of this year. Really, really nice season out of James Pierre and adding to the interception total for him now. What's that? At least 2 or 3 on the season now for him. So,
we can find that.
Loving what I'm seeing from James Pierre. A lot of pass breakups this year too, man. I bet you as you look this up, you're going to see a pass breakup number right next to his interception number. There's a chance he's leading the team in pass breakups this year. Yeah, it's probably between him and Cam Hayward.
So James Pierre on the year only has the 1 interception.
Just the one?
And then just the 1 this year.
Man, I thought he had some other ones already this year, too, on the sideline, I thought, in the game.
Nope. But pass breakups, however, he is at 11 so far.
That's a ton, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the most. I mean, that's double what he's ever gotten in a year. So
yeah,
big shout out to him.
He must have had one called back, man, because I know he had another interception in another game.
Yeah, special guest appearance of my cat right now. If you're watching on YouTube, he gets very friendly and likes to hang out. So this is the Black Panther, King T'Challa. My game ball. So I'm stuck between 2 guys, and I got to go with the one that I think James wants me to go with. I am gonna give my game ball to Alex Highsmith. I think that he's well deserving of it from the one play. I think that it was like it could potentially be a breakout moment for him. That could lead to a lot of kind of things falling into place, teams having to take him a little bit more seriously.
Yeah.
And hopefully he can continue to increase his output, because I tell you what, Nick Herbig's on his butt. I mean, Nick Herbig performs every time he comes out and gets a chance. So he's got to make sure he's playing well to make sure he gets the playing time. Obviously, he has got the contract now, but we will see what happens moving forward. And game ball definitely has to go to Alex Highsmith.
I love that, man. I love that. Alex had himself one heck of a game, man. And you look at the season now, TJ's got 7 sacks, Alex Highsmith and and Nick Herbig right behind him at 6.5 apiece.
Yeah.
So we got
Yep.
a three-way race going on here for who's going to get the most sacks as a Steeler this season. None of them really in contention for the NFL lead, unfortunately. Myles Garrett got another one in this last game yesterday, so he gets himself one sack closer to the title. But if you had an honorable mention, I'm kind of curious because you were between two, I was between two. Who is the other guy you were thinking about?
Well, I feel like so there's two other guys that I would have, but there was
Yeah.
only one real other one that I was struggling with, and that
Yeah.
would have been Brandon Echols.
Gotcha.
I thought he played with. I know that yours was going to be offensive side of the ball. Probably the guy that touches the ball a lot. So
Yep, the guy that touched the ball the most, Aaron Rodgers, would have been
Yep.
my honorable mention on this one. I just felt like I couldn't not mention Pierre, but I love that you went Alex Highsmith because man, he really deserves it from this year. It's such an important thing to have the complimentary guys win in crucial moments.
Yep, 100%, and especially when they're getting paid to not be a complimentary guy.
Yeah.
You know, quite frankly, that's not to call him out or anything, but he's making good money.
It's like $20 million a year on that contract, right? If it wasn't for the fact that TJ's making 40 on the other side, he'd be the number one guy in the room.
Yep. So can't thank you guys enough for listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, remember to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell. It's free. Doesn't cost you a thing. Don't forget the 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. Make James very happy. And until next time, this is your host, James and Cody, signing off.
Peace.